Hi.
It's recording.
I know. On this episode of Common Mystics, we journey to California's southern coast to uncover the remarkable story of Juana Maria, the lone woman whose 18 years of isolation inspired a beloved novel, sparked a legend, and concealed far more complex and heartbreaking of a truth. I'm
That's
Jennifer.
right.
I'm Jennifer James.
I'm Jill Stanley.
We're psychics.
We're sisters.
We are common mystics. We find extraordinary stories in ordinary places. And today's story takes you to San Nicolas Island off the coast of California.
That's right, Jennifer. So, where were we in the car when we found this story?
We were staying in LA, but we headed to Simi Valley to pick up a friend of ours.
And that is northwest of LA. Oh, wow. Look at I'm so excited. Look at you.
And there it is. You can
I am looking at a map of the area of Southern California where Los Angeles is circled and an arrow the way the birds fly right to Semi Valley.
Simi Valley, yeah. And so we picked up our good friend Giselle. I have to say, I really enjoy getting to know our listeners as friends and sometimes just showing up at their house being like, we're kidnapping you and taking you on an adventure.
And they never struggle.
They never struggle and no one's ever turned us down.
No, it's very exciting. Do you have a picture of Giselle for the peeps?
I don't.
It's okay. It's okay.
She's
Cute.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's
she's
it.
adorable.
You
Anyway.
would love her. You guys would love her. She's one of our tier 4 patrons and she's amazing. Super psychic.
And we had an intention, of course.
We always have an intention. Do you want to remind people of what our intention was in the car that day, as it always is?
It was that day, as it always is, to find a verifiable story previously unknown to us that would allow us to give voice to the voiceless.
That's right. Let's get into our hits in the car.
Oh my gosh, Giselle was on fire.
That girl was on fire. That girl is on fire.
Seriously, she was picking up on indigenous people, but also, do you remember her saying that she was hearing a language?
Mm-hmm.
She was literally hearing an indigenous language in her mind.
It's very cool.
This is so crazy. This is going to be really important to our story. Also, she was seeing pirates along the coast. Pirates.
That's cool.
And the last thing, well, not the last thing, but another really important thing that she was picking up on psychically was the sense of a mother's sorrow. Yeah. What about you? What were you picking up on?
I was picking up lost history of an indigenous village.
That's going to be pivotal to our story as well. And then you and Giselle both were picking up on an old route. Do you remember?
Yes. The old trails.
But not only the old trails, but a place that was like a stopping place. Do you remember?
I do. I remember completely. Like a place for reprieve when you're on a journey.
Right, like a pit stop.
Yep. That's right.
Or truck stop.
Yeah.
Or rest stop.
Yes. I just want to say, you guys, that Jennifer is in control today of all our visuals on our unedited version of the podcast on YouTube. So if you want a wonderful shit show, please join us on YouTube so you can hear the unedited version and see our slides and pictures.
Okay, so then we decided that we wanted to go to a local museum.
True.
And so we looked up the Simi Valley Historical Society and Museum at Strathern Park.
Correct.
And along the way, as we're driving there, we saw a pretty crazy sight that all of us were like, what is that? Do you remember what that was?
Yes. It was a huge white cross on a hillside.
And we actually have a visual of the exact cross.
Thank you for that. It is the exact cross, which was like, why was it there?
And that's what we were talking about in the car. We're like, why is this here?
It's kind of crazy.
Do you remember?
Yeah, of course,
we're
I
like,
remember.
that's really weird. Huge cross. Why is it there?
You know, driving around the south of this country, we will randomly see large crosses, but they're modern. They're portraying Christianity along the south of the United States. This felt different. It didn't feel like an homage to like evangelical Christians. It looked old. It felt different than that.
Right. Yeah. So I wrote it down in the notes. We all took note of it and thought this is really important, but we don't know why.
Right.
And then we get to the museum,
Mhm.
which is more than just a museum. The Strathern Museum, Park Museum has. Do you want to describe it and what we
No.
experienced? No, you don't? Okay.
No.
It has several historical structures on the premises, which are
Yes.
very, very cool. It
So
also
cool.
has exhibits in the actual museum section, right? They were so nice to us. They were
They were very generous with their time and
so
information.
welcoming. Yeah, so welcoming.
And they usually don't open up the historical buildings for people just randomly, and they did for us because we were out of towners.
Right, and we were gonna be leaving the next day or so, so we couldn't wait around, but they were so nice. We didn't get, like, the full tour, but they were so sweet and
I
so
kind of feel like
generous.
we did, actually.
Anyway, but we wanted to ask about the damn cross, right? Because we're
Mhm.
like, if anyone's gonna know about the cross, it's these people. And so we're like, okay, so we were driving over here and there's this big ass cross on the hill, you know the one. And she's like, oh, do I? That's Mount McCoy Cross. And she was like, it marks the halfway point between two missions, the mission San Fernando and the mission San Buenaventura. And according to local tradition, Spanish missionaries would place a cross halfway between two missions so that if you are traveling, you would know, hey, you're halfway there. Like, don't give up yet because traveling was such a pain in the ass.
Ain't that the truth?
And so, also that particular cross represented a place to stop. So there was a pit stop right there in Simi. So the cross told travelers you're halfway there to the next one, to the next mission, and there's a place to stop right here. So come on here and stop and water your horses and have a bite and stay the night, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So we got the answer to our question. And then we knew, that the missions had something to do with this story that we were picking up on, but we had no idea why.
Right, we were very drawn to churches, not only churches on the road, St. Rosa Lima, that we passed, but also the historic church that was inside the historical park.
Correct. So I had these tiny pieces of information going into the research.
You did. You took the lead.
I did. And the hits led me to a story that begins on the island of San Nicolas in the Channel Islands.
Tell me everything about it, everything you know right now.
Okay. So, off the coast of California is an archipelago of
Oh,
islands.
that sounds pretty.
I think I've got a visual here. Oh, here you are.
Oh,
Here are
I
the
love
Channel
it.
Islands, and you can see Los Angeles right there on the map that we're looking at. And there's this group of islands. Now, the Channel Islands are often thought of as California's Galapagos. Have you
Oh,
heard of the Galapagos?
yes, from the
What do you,
Kardashians.
from? Shut up! Tell me about.
They
Do they
they
live on the
no, they
Galapagos?
vacationed there.
They did?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh,
That's
that's
all
so
I know about it.
funny. You know what? I I had this biology teacher in high school. Nothing excited him more than talking about the Galapagos. Like if you like I
That's
know.
interesting.
I know. He had been there. He was so psyched about the Galapagos. If you wanted to like get him off track, if you didn't want him to like get to homework, you'd be like, "Hey, so about the Galapagos." And he would just like go into the Galapagos and
I love that.
how special it was. His name was Dr. Young Peter. He was really nice. Anyway, but what's special about the Galapagos is it's a really old island, like it's separated a long, 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 long time ago. So the life forms on the Galapagos are unlike anywhere else in the world,
Got
right?
it.
And
Mhm.
so these Channel Islands are often thought to be similar because they've been isolated from the mainland of what is now the United States for so many thousands of years. Like what you find on there or what they found was these civilizations and these plant forms and these animal forms that were really, really, really different than what you find on the mainland. So, and in fact, the archaeologists think that people have been living there for 13,000 years.
That's insane.
Now, there are the northern ones you can kind of see up in the north, and then there are the southern ones. And the northern ones were occupied by a tribe called the Shumash tribe.
I know them from Buffy.
Yeah, exactly. And the Shumash, they were like the flashy sister of the islands. Okay. They lived in the north. They were super, super successful. Um, they would, um, they were just really good, like traders, and they had this like thriving civilization.
Cool.
But in the north, our northern place that we're looking at, this San Nicolas Island, it was one of the southern ones, and it was a lot less flashy. And the people who lived there were not like they were not flashy. They were called the Nicoleño people, and there was like a small community, and they had their own language that was different from the Chumash. They had their own culture, and again, living there for thousands of years. So
Whereas the Shumash were like talented sailors and they were getting out and
they were getting
about
out, and people knew about the
because
Chumash,
they
and
were cool and they were all like,
right,
I'm a Shumash, but not
exactly,
these guys.
right.
They weren't sailors the way
The
the Shumash.
Nicoleño, right? They kept to themselves. It's kind of
Mhm.
like Beyonce.
Yes.
If Beyonce was the sibling in the North, she's like the Shumash people. She was like out
Mhm.
there. Everybody knew about her, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows about her life and her culture. And Solange,
Not so much.
no, well, I mean, she's successful, clearly.
She beat the fuck out of Jay-Z in an elevator. I know that much.
But you see my point. Like, not a lot of people know like about her life,
Mhm.
not like her sister, right?
Right.
Right. So it's kind of like that. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. I knew that you would appreciate that. So yeah, so here's what happened. Okay, so you've got the Nicoleño, they're living on San Nicolas, they're keeping to themselves. They're not
Mhm.
flashy, they're not getting out there.
They don't
Um,
want nothing. They don't need nothing.
right, exactly. But you know what happened in all parts of the continent is you have the Europeans coming in, right?
You're what?
The Europeans. The
Okay.
Europeans, Jill.
I thought you
Okay.
said something else.
No, and the first
Sounded like
European
you said "You're a penis" is what it sounded like you said, and I was gonna take offense to that, but I just yeah.
you're gonna take offense.
I was gonna take offense to "You're a penis."
Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo
Okay, so
was
what I'm looking at here is a drawing of someone who looks hostile. Like, if I
you
saw
think
him,
he's hostile?
he looks like he's a Karen, like, he's ready to ask for the manager for sure.
First of all, great hair.
Love the hair.
Great hair, the gentle waves, the
Beach waves, right?
yes. Yes. I'm loving everything here. The collar,
The collar's a little high for me. The collar,
I
I
can
need
see
a
that.
more relaxed collar.
The pointed beard and mustache. I mean,
Mm,
he's good looking. This is Juan Rodrigo Cabrillo. And in 1542, he was commissioned by the country of Spain to explore the Pacific coast north of Mexico. Now, what was
mm.
he looking for? He wasn't on vacation. He was put to work. He was looking for new trade routes. He
Oh,
was looking for valuable resources.
great.
He was looking for a passage that would connect the Pacific Ocean with the Atlantic Ocean.
Everyone keeps looking for that.
Right. Now, he stopped off at the Channel Islands,
Mhm.
and he describes in his journal these thriving island communities, right? And incidentally, I have some bad news about Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo.
What?
He never made it home.
No
Yeah,
one knows where he is?
well, no one
Oh,
does know where he is because his grave remains a mystery. He was somewhere in the islands when he sustained a broken leg,
that's enough
and
for you back in the day, bro.
yeah, and he actually was trying to save a crewman who had fallen, I think fallen off the boat or whatever. I don't know what I wasn't there, all right? I wasn't there.
Mhm,
I don't know
mhm.
what the facts of the situation were, but dude ended up with a broken leg. It got infected and he ended up dying January of 1543, and nobody knows where he is to this day. Where he
That's
was
cra
buried, if he was buried at sea or if he's on one of the islands. So, anyway,
But
that's
his
a
crew
side
made
note.
it back with his diaries?
Yes, and his
Okay.
diaries told us a lot about what he found as the first known European, not Europeanus, European to witness the way these people lived. Now the problem was, now, anytime the
Europeanus.
Europeans, anytime they start to interact with islanders,
They get everyone sick.
they
They're a
get
bunch of
everybody
like
sick.
putrid, little nasty, always getting people sick like children. You know what I mean? Like if you work in a school or you work with children, you're getting sick. Yes.
True. True story. Yeah. So, I mean, that wasn't good for the indigenous people. He left his mark. He wrote about it, so we knew how these people were living, right?
Mhm.
But there's more because the Spanish,
Mhm.
they were really interested. They're like, "Oh, look what Juan found," and then they like go over there, right? Because Juan was also on the California coast, and he's like, I'm sure he was like, "It's beautiful here," because it would have been,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Like the weather is freaking
Oh
perfect,
my god, that's how I was when I was in Southern California. I was like, "I
right?
can't believe how much I love it here." I get it.
So
I
I'm sure
totally
he
get it.
wrote that down in his notes that were then delivered to the Spanish monarch, and they were like, "We want this perfect weather all the time," right?
Mhm. Who doesn't?
Right. But the Spanish were extra when it came to religion. I don't know if you know
Mm.
this.
Oh my god, I do trust.
Like
The
we were,
Spanish Inquisition.
girl, like I've known serious Polish Catholics. I was raised
Mhm.
by some serious Polish
Shoot.
Catholics.
That's true.
They don't hold a candle to to old school Spanish
Were
Catholics.
they, like, flogging?
I mean, they were into torture if you believed something different than the Catholic faith. Okay. So
Mhm.
their entire worldview was around the church and around God. So when the Spanish want to start settling,
That's
okay,
intense.
what do they do? They create a bunch of missions. So instead of like
Mm-mm.
colonies, here you have a map of the coast of California. Look at all those freaking missions.
That's a
They
lot
just
of freaking missions.
mission after mission after mission after mission.
Do they need so many missions? I think not.
Well, I don't know if it seems overkill to me too, to be honest. Like
Mhm.
that's a lot. These are the missions founded by the Franciscan missionaries between 1769 and 1823. Now, what did they want to do there?
They wanted to preach.
They wanted to preach to
The indigenous people.
bingo. They wanted to preach to the indigenous people, but not just preach. They wanted to convert them.
Oh god, it's so
Of
annoying.
course, disease,
Gross.
displacement,
Yep.
missionization didn't go well for the indigenous people who have lived there for thousands of years.
Can you imagine how annoying it'd be like the Jehovah's Witnesses that just come to
That
your
move
island.
in.
Yes, and then they build shit and they're like, "Hello, the kingdom of heaven is here."
Yes.
So annoying.
So, this was actually a thing called missionization of
Mm.
the people. Oh my gosh. Under this system, it's going to make you angry. The indigenous people were encouraged um and or coerced. Like if encouragement didn't do it, then they were strong arming these people and then manipulating the environment so that these people had no choice but to join the missions to survive.
That's so
Okay.
wrong.
Of course, their point was to baptize these people and make them Christians, right?
Mhm.
Convert them to Catholicism, teach them to speak Spanish,
Mm.
teach them the Spanish customs, while, of course, making sure they abandoned their traditional cultures, abandoned their religion and their cultural practices, and, of course, left their ancestral lands and stayed at the mission.
Ugh.
Okay. Yeah, so it was
A
not
cult, essentially?
a cult.
Feels like a cult. "Leave your
It's
land, come to me,
I
we
don't
will
know.
baptize you. Yes, you come."
A cult, when you say that, it makes it sound like the people are there because they believe it and they've been
Mm.
brainwashed. But that wasn't the case. These indigenous people weren't brainwashed.
They were entrapped.
Yeah, it's more like a work camp because they were made once you lived on the mission, then you had to support the mission. So
Oh my
now these
god.
indigenous people were basically, I don't know, enslaved. Like they were prisoners of the mission. And once the Spanish took control of the land, then it changed everything. You know, there's the game, the land is transformed now.
Ugh,
So it was a big problem. And I want to talk to you more about this in our detours.
okay. I
But
will allow that.
but moving on. So if that wasn't enough, then you have this tragedy that happens on the island of San Nicolas. Let me show you where that is again.
I
Okay,
see it
so
again.
on San Nicolas, right here, okay, there is a problem because apparently the Russians and the Alaskans were getting together to control some of the marine life, commerce surrounding marine life. And
Mm,
back in the day, seals and sea otters were really sought after.
really cute, right?
Well, they didn't want them because they were cute. They wanted to kill them and use their pelts. Okay. And apparently that could bring in a lot of money.
That's super sad.
So the Alaskans and the Russians, here we have some visuals of the seal hunters, the
Can you
very
imagine hunting that way? So
pointy.
I
Yeah,
am looking at a drawing of men in canoes with like spears, and that's
yeah,
what they're using to hunt the seals and the sea otters.
correct. And here you
Oh,
see a bunch of seals
is this
on a
drawn?
landmass.
Is this drawn to scale? Because then some big old scale. They huge. Those seals are huge.
They are big. They need a lot of fat to survive in that environment.
They're cuddly.
Mm. So anyway, so there's this situation where the Russians and the Alaskans, they know that the islands, the Channel Islands, have a lot of this marine life. San Nicolas, in particular, had a lot of sea otters and seals. And so they come down and they basically massacre the Nicoleño people, the Solange people.
Oh my god.
They massacre these quiet indigenous people and it devastates the population of the island. And then the community is crippled and moving around and just
Sad and
crippled.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way sad and shit.
Oh my god.
Okay. But the Franciscan missionaries, they know this. Okay. And so they see an opportunity, right? They see an opportunity to be like, oh, you are
Come to
massacred.
us,
Come
people.
to us, work on our missions, right? Help, get baptized, etc. So they send a boat over to the island, San
Mhm,
Nicolas, where the Nicoleño people, the ones who are left, are there. And the schooner, the
mhm.
schooner that they send was called Peoras Nada,
What does that
better
mean?
than nothing. Better than nothing. Literally, the boat they sent is called Better Than Nothing. And they evacuate. So they gather up all the the Nicoleño people, gather them all up on the beach, and they're like, okay, get on.
They're not
Except,
even pretending.
no, no, they're not even pretending.
Oh,
Except there was one woman, she did not report to the beach to be picked up.
good for her.
And they stayed looking for her, but they weren't able to find her. They couldn't locate her. And finally, like, the Spanish are looking at their watch, and the schooner is like,
can you imagine the little bitch that was like, wait, Maria isn't here? You know what I mean? Like, I would be like, shut the fuck up.
right. Right. So they left her behind on San Nicolas Island. And she would survive there for 18 years.
That's amazing.
When she was finally discovered in 1853, her story would captivate the world and transform her into a figure of myth and wonder.
So you have to tell me about this woman. Like, what was she doing on this island for 18 years? Just living the lap of luxury. Just like, I'm on the island.
Okay. So the story of her discovery and the story of how she was left behind have been told in a lot of different ways because it reached mythical proportions. Okay.
Okay.
But it's pretty clear that the mission was trying to locate her for years because they knew that they left her behind. And so they kept trying to go back or paying people to go back. One account claims that Father Rubio, here he is right here.
Oh, that hair. I dated someone that had a haircut just like that.
He actually looks like your ex-boyfriend. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right? It's the hair and the nose. So we are looking at a drawing of Pedro Jose.
He's a Franciscan priest.
And he looks a lot like my ex-boyfriend, but bigger. My ex-boyfriend was scrawnier than that.
It looks like someone put a bowl on his head, crooked, and cut right around it.
And no, shaved. Not cut, shaved to
shaved the sides. Yeah,
and I'm telling you, and I am not lying to you, that is my ex-boyfriend's haircut.
That is Father Rubio. Now, Father Rubio of the Mission Santa Barbara, apparently in one story, offered this man, Carl Dittman, $100 to go back and find this woman that was left behind.
This poor woman, just leave her be.
Dittman couldn't find her. Okay. Went back to the island, looked all around, couldn't find her. Okay. But another story says that Father Rubio paid a guy named Thomas Jeffries $200. So apparently Carl Dittman couldn't do it for $100. So he's like, fine. So Rubio finds this other guy, Thomas Jeffries. And he's like, Thomas Jeffries, I'll give you $200. Go back and find this woman. Jeffries tried and tried. $200 was a lot of money back in the day.
It's a lot of money to me right now.
could not find her. But Jeffries came back and he started like, he had a big mouth, Jeffries. And he starts telling everybody, hey, I went to this island. You know, there's a woman living there. And he starts telling people about what he found. He didn't find her, but he found evidence of her. Okay.
Like scat.
Gross. No, not like scat. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Just evidence of her. Gross, Jill. Why do you always have to bring it down to the gutter?
That was the gutter. That's how people hunted. Do you remember the bear movie you made me watch? And he was like, oh.
Jill.
Do you know what movie I'm talking about? The bear movie you made me watch? No. And he was, yes, you made, you guys, Jennifer made me watch a movie that I thought was going to be an uplifting movie about a lovely bear and a bear and his family. It's like called Grizzly Man or something. And it turns out it's about this weirdo that was seriously obsessed with bears. He was like following them around and like looking for their poop to be like, this is a healthy one. Look how the poop is. And it would be like, you need a friend.
I love it when they're like, ooh, it's hot.
Literally, that's what he was doing.
That's a really good documentary, Grizzly Man. But Jill, people don't just shit and leave it there. People bury their shit if they know it's good for them.
Well, she obviously did because they couldn't find her.
Anyway, he like a cave, like strips of meat hanging, stuff like that. Her poo. Anyway, so
I said scat, not poo.
Talk
about gutter talk.
he comes back and he's telling you can just picture him. He's at the pub, right? He's having a
Mhm.
drink and he's like, "You never believe it. This woman is out there. I couldn't find her, whatever." And this guy named George Nidover hears it. And he's like, "Well, I'm up for the task," because that's how men are, right?
So lame.
So in the fall of 1853, George Nidover, he puts together another expedition to go back to the island and look for her. I think he had like 2 different times where he was not successful. And then on the third time, he got lucky. And his party spotted human footprints. And then he found seal blubber hanging to dry, and
Ooh.
they followed these clues and they didn't give up, and they discovered a healthy, resourceful woman
Hell
dressed
yeah.
dressed in garments, made from bird skin.
Oh, that's
And
so cool. I love
mhm,
this woman.
and she was living in a shelter that she had made with whale bones and brush. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, what did George Nidover do?
He was
He
probably like, "Hi."
he put her on his boat and took her over to the Santa Barbara mission.
That's so messed up.
Now, when she arrived in Santa Barbara in 1853, she caused a sensation unlike anything California had seen before. Newspapers, sailors, missionaries, ranchers, townspeople all flocked to come and see the wild woman of San Nicolas Island.
Wow.
It reminds me of the days when they used to like parade around like the bearded woman, right? And
Mhm.
the
The
really fat
sideshow.
woman. Yeah, the sideshow and the really
Mhm.
skinny man. Like that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's really disrespectful. And all this woman was doing is living on the island by herself, and some dick finds her and then brings her so
Brings
she
her
can be
back.
a sideshow attraction. Nice.
Right. Here's the other thing. Because she was the Nicoleño, nobody could speak her language. So they could not really communicate with her. Even her name was completely unknown
Mm.
because nobody at the Santa Barbara mission could fully understand her language. They didn't know her birth name. They didn't know when she was born.
And the Nicoleanians that they had already taken off the island were, like, already acclimated to European cultures, so they kinda lost it?
Well, it wasn't that. It was that, remember, this was 18 years later, and many of them died because of the
Oh,
diseases,
yeah.
right? So,
And the hard back-breaking work that they were doing at the mission.
right. So, again, the press, the stories grew with each retelling about what happened to this woman, right?
Mhm.
And some claimed that she survived by herself on the island by taming wild dogs. And others said that she lived in a cave that was hidden, that only she could find. But the most enduring version of her story explained how she got left behind in the first place. And it was a very dramatic story. And it said that she was a sister and that she had a brother.
Mhm.
And she was on the ship going to the mainland when she realized that her younger brother had been left behind. And so she dove into the water and swam back to shore. And she essentially became this mythological romantic heroine of the
Mm.
California frontier. I've got some visuals and frankly, I don't remember what they are. So let's just show them. Here
Ooh,
here is the mission at Santa Barbara.
I like it.
It's really beautiful.
It is really beautiful. It's Spanish style.
Of
You
course.
can yeah.
Mhm.
And the
So, covered,
trees.
I think those outside walkways that are covered, are they called porticos? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's an outside
I
corridor and it's covered and
ye
it's got the arches.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. I do
I'm
not know what
probably
they're
wrong,
called.
but there's an old historical picture of the Santa Barbara mission where she ended up. Here's
Oh,
George Nidover as an old man.
absolutely would not follow that guy anywhere. I don't care how much candy he had. I would be like, "No, I'm good. You
I
look scary."
I couldn't find any young pictures of him. I'm sure he looked much nicer when he was a young man. This is when he was an old man telling stories about how he found her.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Here is a drawing that depicts the discovery of the lone woman. You can see how she's in a hut that looks like it's made with straw and bone.
Ooh, I like
Mhm.
it. It's very Flintstone-y to me, right?
Yeah, it does look very Flintstone. And here's another drawing of the lone woman who, I like this one because
I
she looks like, "Get the
What in
fuck
the
away
fuck?
from me." Right,
Exactly. Yeah,
right? Like,
no.
I'm busy right now, and you've got these 2 guys in uniform pointing at her like, "There she is," and she's like, "What?" It looks like
I
she's scraping some skin.
Yeah, I'm with her on that. I'd be like, "Why are you on my island?
Exactly,
Wouldn't you, like,
exactly.
start barking at them or something?" I would do anything I can to keep those people away from me.
So, by the late 19th century, her story had become mythical, and she was portrayed as the last of her people, a tragic survivor standing alone against the forces of nature and history. And
That's
in
so
fact,
condescending because in reality, she was striving by herself on that island.
thriving,
Yeah,
she was
mhm.
thriving. She was
She
doing
was
well.
thriving,
She was
yes.
well fed. She didn't
Mhm.
want anything.
She didn't need
She
anything.
didn't need anything. In fact, have you heard of the novel The Island of the Blue Dolphins?
No, I have not.
Okay. So in 1960, author Scott Odell transformed the legend into a novel, Island of the Blue Dolphins, that I know is considered a classic today. Here are some of the covers: Island of the Blue
Ooh.
Dolphins, some of the
Um,
older and newer covers.
so I'm looking at these covers. First, I wanna say the one all the way to the left looks like Joe from the Facts of Life.
I,
Okay,
she does.
she does.
She
She
does.
absolutely does. The
She's
one in
not, though. She's not Nancy McKeon.
Are you sure she's not
I'm
Nancy
pretty
McKeon?
sure, and this was, I think, from the original book from 1960, and I'm pretty sure Nancy McKeon wasn't even born yet. But
Well,
continue. That is
okay.
not Joe from The Facts of Life.
The middle one looks very authentic, more so what I would assume this lone woman would look like, but she looks like she doesn't look as annoyed as she should. You know what
True,
I mean?
true.
She should really look more annoyed, like, "I'm just living my life, and you guys just keep coming over here and keep trying, and you won't go away." She should look more annoyed. And then the one all the way to the right looks like a romantic novel.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
That is the most modern of the covers that I found, and it does look romantic, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah, for sure. So, and this was required reading, as a
Not in my
classic.
school.
I didn't read it either, but I knew of it. And generations of school children came to know the story through the fictionalized account of the character Karana, depicted as a brave young woman who is in her 20s, who survives alone on an island after leaping from a rescue ship to save her brother. And for many Americans, this fictionalized version became more familiar than the historical woman herself.
That's kinda messed up.
But over the last decade, Jill, just the previous last decade, like since
Mhm.
2016,
Yeah.
historians and archaeologists, they have been working on this because they're like, wait a minute. And they've been uncovering evidence that suggests that what really happened is arguably even more remarkable than the stories.
Tell me.
So, researchers examining this situation, they are looking at mission records, like from
Mhm.
Santa Barbara mission and other missions. They're looking at indigenous oral histories, which are
Mm.
important.
Mhm.
Archives from Russia, because of course the Russians were involved in the massacre on the island, and other notes connected from Native Californian elders. Okay.
Ooh.
And they're finding when they're taking a look, and I love this, not at just the official white man retelling of the story,
Mhm.
but all of these different sources that Maria Juana wasn't in her 20s. When they picked her up, she was about 50 years old, okay?
Mhm.
Which means that she was about 32 years old when she was left behind.
Mhm.
Okay, so she
She
was
was
a
a
mature,
full-grown woman.
full-grown woman. And recent evidence suggests that she may not have been the final surviving Nicoleño at all, and that there were members of her community that survived on the mainland for years after the evacuation. And so
Nice.
this romantic notion of her being the last one, that's probably not right, okay?
Mhm.
But even more surprising, um, she probably was not alone for most of those 18 years. She was not
Oh.
alone. According to native accounts recorded in the early 20th century, she remained on San
Mhm.
Nicolas Island voluntarily because her son refused to leave on the evacuation ship.
I love that.
Her son refused to leave, and she was not going to leave her son.
Nope.
Now, she was 32. She could have a son who was in his teens.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And mother and son purportedly lived together on that island happily for years. And unfortunately, he died sometime into those 18 years.
Hmm.
It's thought that he died while fishing, either attacked by a shark or a killer whale, and then she did become isolated.
That poor woman.
There's no evidence at all, by the way, that she was on the boat and she jumped off. That was complete fiction that people just ate up and ran with.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing that's super interesting is that there's recent evidence that challenges the notion that nobody could understand her or what she was saying.
Tell me.
Now, communication was difficult, okay? That is true. However, researchers are like, no, there were native California people who could understand a lot of what she was saying.
That's what I was
Yeah,
that's
because
yeah.
the languages were different, but there was some overlap.
Overlap.
Plus, she
Mhm.
could use gestures and things.
Right.
Right? So historical accounts note that a woman from the Santa Barbara mission community, possibly Chumash or of a different background, was able to communicate with her enough to learn some words and basic information about her life while she was on San Nicolas.
Yeah.
And
When she was happily on San Nicolas.
Mhm. And ethnographers such as John Peabody Harrington later recorded fragments of vocabulary attributed to her. So he was able to like write down what she was saying. So there was a partial linguistic exchange happening.
Right.
Okay. Now, scholars now believe that her language was likely related to the languages spoken by the mainland groups, but it wasn't fully understandable, right?
Mhm.
But in contrast between the myth and the emerging historical record, that's one of the most compelling parts of her story because the legend is all about isolation and it exemplifies 19th century America's fascination with the wilderness, with the tragedy, and with the rescue
The
of the
rescue? She was
rescue.
stolen from her home.
Exactly. And this newer evidence,
Oh,
this paints her in as a survivalist who had choice. She did not want to be picked up and delivered to a mission where she would have to live as a slave.
absolutely not.
She wanted to stay with her family, which was her son, right?
In her homeland.
Right. On her ancestral homeland. So,
Ugh.
so who is the voice? Oh, and let me just show you. This is really sad to me. I'm going to show it to you anyway.
Oh.
So if you look up the lone woman of San Nicolas Island, like on Wikipedia or just like you Google search it, this drawing comes up. I don't know if this is a drawing or a photograph. It kind of looks like both, kind of like a photograph made into like a drawing. But
Yes.
th- this is the closest that we get. We don't have a real picture of her. And like the caption underneath says this could have been her,
That is the most racist shit I have ever heard in my life.
right?
This
Yeah,
could have been her.
this could have been here.
Wow.
Here we have this is a very tasteful painting done based on what recent research has uncovered, and it's thought to be a more reasonable depiction of what she might have really looked like.
I love her outfit. I'm not gonna lie.
It's full of feathers.
I would rock that.
You would rock that.
I really would.
The belt and everything.
The belt, snatch that waist. Get it.
Right. So, what do you think? Do you think that the lone woman of San Nicolas Island needs a voice?
I do, for several reasons. Oh, hi. It's me, only me on stage. I think she needs a voice because she was stolen from her homeland. They made up a bunch of shit about her when her actual real life was probably more interesting. Okay. And if she jumped off the boat, why didn't like all the other people jump off the boat? Like I would have jumped off the boat too. If I was like, hey, Maria's jumping off the boat, I would jump off the boat. Right?
Right. Right. 100%. 100%. You know what? The other thing that really, really bothers me about this is that they were all like, oh, we don't know what she's saying. Therefore, we don't know what her name is and we don't know anything about her. The truth was, if they really wanted to know her real story, they could have really recorded her real story. Like, no, they didn't have someone who could fully understand all of her words. But they just weren't interested in her real story. They were interested in the sense, in the fantasy, and the romantic version of what wasn't her story, but they just almost used her life to create this myth. Anyway,
that's annoying.
That to me is why she really does need a voice, because when she had a voice, nobody listened to it,
Yeah.
So you might ask what happened to her.
I might. I think I will.
Please do.
What happened to her?
Oh, Jill.
Did they bring her back to the island to let her live out the rest of her life in peace and harmony without all these people coming around her acting like she's a sideshow?
No, this is what happened. She was, obviously, when they found her, she was healthy. But they brought her to the mainland. They brought her to the mission. And she, of course, had no immunity to all of the diseases that were floating around.
Gross.
Apparently, Franciscans and Catholics are like school children. They're just full of germs.
Nasty.
And Jill, she lived just 7 weeks. 7 weeks since her rescue. She lived for 7 weeks.
I really take issue with the word rescue. And I know you did the bunny ears.
I did do the bunny ears. 7 weeks. And she likely died from dysentery or another infectious disease. But she died on October 18th of 1853, having survived nearly 2 decades of isolation in the harsh weather and the dangers of island life. Yeah. So, and it was on her deathbed that a priest named her Juana Maria. Juana Maria. And after her death, she was buried at the mission Santa Barbara, but her grave was never memorialized with a lasting marker. Today, visitors can walk the mission grounds, yet no one knows exactly where she rests.
That's sad. That's beautiful. I am looking at a statue of Juana Maria.
In Santa Barbara, California. And this particular statue sits at the intersection of State Street and Victoria Street in Santa Barbara as a homage, I guess, to Juana Maria, whose real name was not Juana Maria.
Yeah, and they could have found out her real name.
They could have.
They
right?
really could have. And
I think they could have. I just don't think anybody cared.
The fact that she died in just 7 weeks.
I know.
That is a travesty. That is like they took this poor woman living a long, healthy life.
Yeah.
And then they ultimately killed her.
Not on purpose. It wasn't murder, but yeah.
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 Yeah. It killed her.
So sad.
Why? Like, I just wonder, like, the hang up that they had about this, like, woman that they kept trying to hunt her down. Like, read a book or something. Like, honestly, like, why couldn't you just leave her alone?
I know, it's odd, isn't it, that the
Right.
Franciscans just couldn't let her go?
Yeah,
Why do
like,
you think that was?
I
Like,
don't know.
what was the fascination with getting every
It
single last person off this island?
I mean, as far as I know, it was a rumor. Like, the fact that they were paying so much money for people to find this woman for so long is really, like, sickening. Like, get over it.
Maybe they really did think that they were trying to help. But you'd think that people going there and seeing, like, evidence of someone living well.
Mhm.
And can't you also see her and her son, like, ditching the boats? Like, "The boats are coming again, let's hide."
Right.
Because they
Yeah,
didn't wanna go back?
exactly.
Because they heard what happens?
Well, and if the Franciscans really believed that they were doing what, like, something good, like, did they not see every other native person that came in contact with them die of some horrible disease? Like,
Mm.
obviously these people should not be mingling with us. Like, we should not be, like, within 6 feet like, literally. Like, wear a mask 6 feet away, wash your hands, like, honestly.
They should have putting down those circular stickers like I see in my
Yes.
Walmart still.
Yes.
Please keep 6 feet distance.
Yes,
But in
exactly.
their, misled Spanish Catholic mind of the 1700s, they were probably thinking it's better for them to die baptized and go to heaven because that's what they believed, than for them to
Yeah.
die as, quote, unquote, "bunny ears savages." Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
I understand
I
exactly
mean,
what you're saying, but why do they have to
I know, why do they have to hunt her? Like,
Yeah,
why do they have to
exactly.
hunt her like she's a seal?
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it, I get it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you so much. I guess I struck a nerve on
I
this one.
really well, it's annoying. She was living her best life, honestly, and then 7 weeks later,
7 weeks, that was
that's
it. It's
that's
messed up,
terrible.
messed up. So, if we would go through our hits, Giselle seriously was on fire. When
She's
she was
amazing.
she is. When she was talking about, indigenous people and hearing an indigenous language,
That plays a big part in our story.
it does because the lone woman of San Nicolas Island, her language was a big part. The fact that Juana Maria, as she was baptized, was not fully understood meant that she literally had less of a voice.
Mhm.
Also, pirates along the coast. What do you think that refers to?
The Russians and the Alaskans?
Yes, exactly. They wiped out the Nicoleño people in 1811. I do think that that's what she was picking up on because
I
that's
do
what pirates do, right? They plunder, they murder, and then they get back on
mm.
their boats and they move. A mother's sorrow.
The loss of her son.
Yeah, yeah. You obviously, when you were picking up on the lost history and the lost indigenous village, it
Mhm.
seems to be obvious that the loss of the San Nicoleño people
Yeah,
and
I
their
agree.
village. And then the stopping place, the respite among the foothills. The fact that the missions were literally the stopping place, um, along the old California routes and that cross,
That
um,
ugh.
being the halfway point.
Mhm.
We knew that the missions were part of this story,
Yes. We knew
and
that the religion itself was part of the story.
correct, correct. And I do wanna make a final note because we never were at Santa Barbara.
No.
We didn't drive that far. We said, "N
No.
sorry, no." Even though
We're
we
like
were pulled up the coast. Do you
we were
remember
like,
being like,
"Spirits, we can't today. Like, give us our story, but
"Give
we
us our
can't
story."
drive that
We
far."
correct, correct. We were about 80 miles away from the Santa Barbara mission, okay?
Mhm.
And that's pretty far. That was farther than we were willing to go that day, but we were on the historic road to the mission San Fernando, which was only 30 miles away. And as it turns out, there is an important connection to to Juana Maria and the mission San Fernando.
Tell me.
Because when Juana Maria arrived in Santa Barbara in 1853 at the Santa Barbara mission, Franciscan priests sent for indigenous people with different dialects to see could anyone actually understand her language. And most people failed to understand her, but historical accounts and modern research by ethnohistorians show that there were two native women, two Native women originally from Mission San Fernando who were brought to see Juana Maria, and they were the only ones who could partially comprehend her words.
I love that.
So in other words, we were halfway to San Fernando, Mission San Fernando, where these
Mhm.
two women were taken to help Juana Maria.
I wish they would have noted more of her story.
Jill, and that's just the thing. I think that they did. I think that they did. I think that these women wanted us to know that they tried.
Yeah.
You know, they
Mhm.
tried. They tried to get more of this story. They tried to tell more of her story, but it wasn't taken as fact.
Wow.
I really do. I think they tried to give her a voice, and I think that's part of the reason why that cross, because we were halfway there. We were
They were
almost to
halfway there.
the San Fernando mission. So, I think that's like that blew my mind when I realized that.
Yeah, that is extraordinary. That really does make me so mad. This story really angers me on so many different levels. Okay, I'm on the stage again by myself. It does because, like, why did they have a hard on to find her? Number one, like, literally leave her alone. Number two, they rescued her. No, they killed her. They ultimately killed her with their nasty diseases. And then to add insult to injury, they make up this story about her instead of actually getting to know the real person behind the the story.
Well, it's a tragic story, but I think it's an important one to tell.
Mhm.
As we move forward and as we study history, just remembering who writes the history, right? Who writes the history? And sometimes we have to dig a little deeper and look at the indigenous voices, the voices of people of color, in their oral histories to find out what really happened. So I'm really proud to be able to tell the story of the lone woman of San Nicolas Island. So thank you for being a part of this conversation with me.
We have 231 reviews still on Apple. We would really like more. If you can, will you please leave us a positive review and we will read it on our show. Also, we love our patrons on Patreon because they are literally our bread and butter and they keep these stories coming out. So please, if you can donate any level, we will appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for all you do for us and to listen. And thank you for listening. Just
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for listening.
listening. We love all of our listeners. We're so appreciative. We would love to get to 250 reviews on Apple.
Oh
We're
my
at
God, I would love
231,
that.
right?
Come
Right?
on, we can do it.
Drop
Can't
us
we?
an email. Where can people email us?
Oh my God, email us because you know what else we're doing? My sister Jennifer is mentoring people. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. So
It's
email
so much
us.
fun.
It's so much
It's so
fun.
much fun.
She's helping you unlock your full psychic potential.
Get
That's
your
what she
psychic
does.
on. Get your
Get
psychic
your
on.
psychic on. Get your psychic on. Also, I am giving readings still. So please email
Yay.
us at commonmystics@gmail.com. Check out our website. I've been playing around with it a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Commonmystics.net.
Yeah, and check out our YouTube channel. If you are not watching this, come see our faces and our slides on our YouTube channel. So
It's totally unedited. So the shit show
totally
is real. The shit show is real, people.
come join us. All right. Love you.
Love you. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to stop Audacity.